Alright guys, welcome to the 41st episode of Below the Bar.
In this episode, expect to find out how to best prepare for a Hyrox race, why Manchester is better than London.
And what happened when Britain tried to test launch its nuclear deterrent.
Let's get into it. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Below the Bar. And this week, we're doing all things Hyrox because we're jumping on the bandwagon.
We are absolutely jumping on the bandwagon. So this weekend was Glasgow and Madrid. And our Instagram feeds have both been populated with everyone doing it, and we got FOMO, so we're going to jump on the bandwagon. We haven't done Hyrox this weekend. We are going to gob off about it.
Yeah, we're trendsetters, if anything. So we did it last year when it wasn't cool.
Yeah, we made it cool.
Yeah,
effectively.
exactly. Now everyone's...
And we didn't train for it either. That's good.
Yeah, exactly. That's even cooler, according to some people. When you don't train for your fizz. When you fizz ninjas, and then you cream in on your events. But
yeah.
Anyway...
So Hyrox is a hugely fast-growing sport, if no one's heard of it. Do you want to explain just basically what it is first?
Well, we're going to do Helmet of the Week first.
Okay.
And then we'll get into Hyrox and kind of the benefits of it and our tips for it, I think.
Okay.
Helmet of the Week. Right, okay. So this week's Helmet of the Week is a funny one. But it's not funny if you're a patriot of this great country that we live in.
So it's funny for Eddie.
So it's funny. I'm a patriot, mate. I'm just... I don't know. My penchant for laughing at the Tory government slightly outweighs my patriotism.
Massively outweighs, I would say. Yeah.
Right, guys, so this week's Helmet of the Week is the failed test launch of our nuclear deterrent.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as all of these kinds of things, brought to my attention by Eddie. And absolutely, it's just mental. But the obvious thing to say about this is just that on the global stage, in terms of the country's brand now,
yeah,
it's been just tarnished, hasn't it? It's this big thing that we always go off about, that's like hoofing.
Yeah.
Just now doesn't work.
Yeah, so I'll do a bit of an explaining for people. So obviously we have Trident, our nuclear deterrent, and this is the kind of the flagship centrepiece of our military. This is supposed to be the thing that stands us apart from kind of middle tier or bottom rung nations, because we've got a nuclear deterrent, and that means you don't fuck with us.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, it's a deterrent, right? So the idea is that it's there in case someone does anything.
Unfortunately for us, it's now failed 2 of its test launches back to back.
Yeah. So do you want to articulate what a fail means?
Right, okay, so basically Trident is launched... It's like a nuclear warhead. You launch it from kind of like a ballistic missile, I guess, from a nuclear submarine to its intended target.
Yeah.
And during this test launch, I think it was supposed to launch from somewhere in the ocean to a site in Africa somewhere.
Right, okay.
And it basically did the nuclear deterrent equivalent of a premature ejaculation.
So you just fired early?
I think it kind of... It fired when it was supposed to fire, but then kind of didn't quite make the intended target, and by that I mean it landed a few miles from the nuclear submarine, just in the ocean.
Yeah, so it's reached climax within the foreplay.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Okay.
It's done a Tim Robbins in Shawshank. You know when he climbs out that pipe of shit at the end?
Yeah.
And there's just no explosion or power. He's kind of just like a crawl.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's just, again, for the current climate as well, in terms of, Russia obviously being quite prevalent these days.
Yeah.
Sorry, getting bitten by the dog. So Russia being quite prevalent these days, obviously it's a pretty hot climate for war at the moment, isn't it?
It's not a great time for the world stage to find out that your nukes don't work.
Yeah, so why the fuck are we testing them now?
Why have we publicised it?
Exactly, yeah. Doing the secret.
And the worrying thing is, the previous time it failed its test launch, the first time, was 2016.
That's pretty recent.
So we've had a lot of time to rectify the issue.
Yeah, it's not ideal, is it? I used to work protecting those, so
so
might as well have fucking not bothered.
So yeah, that's good, isn't it? That's wasted time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Imagine if you knew back then that you were protecting something that was effectively broken.
Well,
your attitude would have shifted quite significantly.
Yeah, literally. That's So again, not great from the UK there. What's the answer here? Are they trying to square it away, or what's going on?
Well, you'd hope so. You'd think they'd try and square it away after the first one in 2016, and they haven't.
Yeah.
So again, broken Britain apparently now transcends to our nuclear deterrent as well.
That's good. Well,
But it's
funny
all
because the one thing the Conservatives are supposed to be good at is preserving Trident.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. But it's okay, though, because our Defence Secretary, Grant Shapps, has said this, and I'll quote it. I have absolute confidence in Trident submarines, missiles, and nuclear warheads. So,
Is this after the shit?
yeah.
Right.
So you've seen it fail its test launch, and you still have confidence in it, apparently. So that's good. I don't know what he's seen that I haven't.
That's mad. That's like, trying to start your car for work, it just doesn't start, and you just ringing your boss. He's like, "All right, mate, I have absolute confidence. I'll be in on time. Don't worry about it."
Yeah.
It's fucking mental. Just delusional there, lad.
Yeah, so that's good. So if you feel a bit insecure in these stressful times with what's going on in Israel and Gaza and Ukraine, you think it's okay. So we've got a nuclear deterrent. Well, it doesn't work, so I would be worried.
That's good, isn't it? Yeah. So that's some somber news to set the podcast off. Anyway, we'll move on, shall we? Because helmet of the week. Well, that helmet of the week is rather depressing. Most of them are just funny.
It's all right though, right? Because now, if you feel a bit down and you've got some demons, you can channel those demons into a Hyrox.
Yeah, it's very true. Yeah, exactly. By the way, you should probably say, if people are watching, last week, which was filmed yesterday, we had the doggo on set, and she was rather calm because we took her out for a walk before the podcast.
Yeah.
This time we haven't done that, and
So she's been a shit out.
She's got fucking massive autism, so try and concentrate on us rather than the dog.
And if you're listening, you can hear the odd rumble. That is the sound of a dog who hasn't been walked yet.
Yeah. Okay, so Hyrox.
Yes. Okay. So
She should do Hyrox. She fucking smash it.
yeah, new world record dog category. You should do that with a fucking. It'd be like mix of like Crufts and
Yeah, I
Hyrox.
can still like pull a sled and
It's
shit.
just like while you're on the ski erg, they're doing like tunnel agility. You know, like they do at Crufts
you have to
and
run
stuff.
with them. They can pull a sled still. Easy.
A little sled, like those disabled dogs you see. We've got like wheels on the back.
That's so jack.
Right. Okay. So what is Hyrox? I've done a definition. You can add to it if you want. So Hyrox is a compromise running event consisting of 8 1-kilometre runs punctuated by 8 workout stations.
Yeah. I guess you've got to articulate what the workout stations are and obviously the levels.
Yes.
So obviously there's open and pro and there's doubles and there's all sorts of stuff. There's scaled as well. So it's pretty accessible for pretty much everyone, which is kind of ideal. So she's trying to undress me.
Yeah. No, Luna might get relegated to the other room in a minute.
Oi!
Yeah, we're trying to do a podcast here, you shit house.
Oh, you shitbag.
Right, yeah. So basically, Hyrox is a compromise running event, and that means that you running interspersed with things that aren't running.
Yeah,
and that is the crux of it, basically.
100%. It's majority running, and so the pretty much the main thing is compromise running, isn't it? So funny noise. So if you can run well, having done something else that affects your running, whether it's a sled push or a whatever, give me that back. She's biting my hand now, you cunt. Then you're all right, and that's why I think just runners or just say like functional fitness fanatics are probably leaning towards it. I think because it kind of bridges the gap quite nicely between the two.
Yeah, okay, so we'll move into now. So if we take my definition as a very broad introduction to Hyrox, so it's like kind of running with a lot of other stuff interspersed into it, we'll now go into why Hyrox is good, and our main point of comparison will be CrossFit.
Yeah, so we've spoken about this off air, haven't we? You're gonna have to go in the spare room.
Yeah, all right, okay.
Pause.
You been absolute shit, aren't you? Yeah, so okay, so for audio listeners now, Luna is being manhandled into the spare room because she's had a burst of autism. Oh, what a sad sight. And for audio listeners that didn't just get the pleasure of seeing what's happened, I can only apologise because Shep is now resting a dog next door. And it doesn't sound pretty. But anyway, yeah. So why is Hyrox good? I've written down 3 primary reasons, and then we get Shep's input when he's finished manhandling the dog. So number 1, accessibility. So as Shep just said, all of the movement's pretty low barrier to entry. It's accessible to everyone.
Yeah, yeah. So I did a video about this the other day actually. So most of the movements are basic, aren't they? In terms of
Yeah.
they're a lunge or a squat variation or whatever. Or you would carry something.
They're very foundational movements.
Yeah, in terms of like mobility and movement mechanics, pretty easy to get into. Even if you can't really like press overhead, which a lot of people can't because posture and stuff, then you're going to be okay. You can still do it. So as long as you can basically break parallel on a squat and get your knee to the floor in a lunge, then you're fine.
Yeah, I mean, like realistically, you can go from having never trained before to doing a Hyrox probably in a couple of months if you just put your mind to it.
And if you're okay with doing pretty terribly in terms of time.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to set the world alight, but like if you can nail those like basic, like foundational movements,
and
then,
if you can run 8K, I guess.
Yeah, and if you can run 8K, but I mean, like we always say, you're never more than like 12 weeks away from doing something pretty impressive. I think in 12 weeks you could take a beginner who's like not in bad shape, who's like pretty physically active but doesn't train, if you know what if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And they could like hold a pretty good account of themselves at a Hyrox in like 3 months.
Probably, yeah. I mean, again, it's the running. As long as you can nail 8K and work for about an hour and a half, pretty much, you're probably going to be okay. Because again, I think, like you say, you're not going to set the world alight. But you can, again, if you're in that situation, you don't have to do it on your own. You can do doubles, which again just means you still have to run the same amount, but you split everything else in half.
Yeah, it's ideal, and
So
it just makes it a bit more kind of like social. In that if you don't just like putting yourself in the locker on your own,
Yeah.
you do share the workload, do it with a partner.
Yeah, exactly that, and obviously you have a day out with it, and because it's now everywhere as well, you can travel with it.
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
You can have an excuse to have a weekend away.
Well, that could be we'll move on to that. Actually. That
Bonus
can be a
ball.
bonus reason to do a Hyrox. But the second reason is it's predictable.
Yeah, so again, comparatively with CrossFit, if you go to a CrossFit competition, there could be anything. There could be lifting, there could be gymnastics, there could be running, whatever. So training for that is rather stressful, and people don't tend to like the unknown generally. People like, if you're going to have fear, it's because of fear of the unknown, typically with humans. So I think that just inspires people not to sign up probably to CrossFit events more so. If you see a Hyrox, you think, okay, I know exactly what it is. 12 weeks out, I can prep for everything. I can make sure I show up and I'm not like embarrassing myself. Yeah. You could fundamentally, you could do a 12-week prep for a CrossFit competition, and fucking zigzag handstand walks come up or something. You're like, well, I'm gonna look like an absolute idiot here. Yeah. And that's not your fault because you've just maybe trained everything except that one thing, which is part of the charm of CrossFit. But at the same time, I think it's also its downfall.
It's a bit like exams at school, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like
exactly,
ultimately on the day, you don't know what you're gonna get, and it's the same with CrossFit. So you could have nailed all of your revision, but you've neglected one tiny part of the curriculum, and that could basically be the main section of the workout, and then you're fucked.
Yeah, so I mean, that is part of CrossFit's charm, effectively, and their whole idea of what fitness is, with the fact that you should be able to turn your hand to absolutely anything, and so when you show up, you should be ready for absolutely anything. But it's a bit unrealistic, especially for Gen Pop. Like, yeah, I get that for athletes. I get that for like top 1%. Yes, okay, let's test their fucking 1 rep max squat snatch, and then their 5K, and then their fucking whatever. But for general population who work 40 hours a week and just train 1 hour every 4 days, then it's probably not ideal because you can't fit. I always used to struggle with that. I mean, I can train more than most people. Yeah. Because of my job and my training age, whatever. I still struggle to fit everything fucking in. Like, if you get really good at front squats and then your handstand push-ups fail, you're still going to fucking do shit at the competition. So it's terrible, really. I mean, it's that shit balancing act all the time. Yeah. With Hyrox, at least you can dial in and specify on one thing.
Well, that's what I mean. I think the predictability feeds into the accessibility. So if we use the example of like a complete beginner again, so like once you nail those kind of like foundational movements, you can hang your hat on that then. Yeah, well, I've got these nailed then. All I need to do now is just keep getting better at them because the workout's not going to change.
Well, again, you're not going to show up and be an idiot. Like, you're not going to show up and completely make a fool of yourself in front of everyone.
And it makes it good. So it's quite clever, really, because it encourages people to come back for more. Because if you do a one-off CrossFit competition, the chances are you'll never do the same CrossFit comp again, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's measurable.
But like Hyrox is measurable because if you do it, you're not satisfied with your time because the workout's always the same. You'll be like, well, I'll do it again. Yeah. And all you've got to do is beat your time.
Yeah, and then you're better. It's as easy as that, which is attractive. And again, because there's so many now throughout the year, you could feasibly do one weekend and then 3 months later train and do another one and beat it like that. And that's quite attractive for people, I think, to come back and have that positive feedback of, okay, well, I've done. And again, you get that feedback loop when you think if you do one and then you do the next one and you do better and you get that dopamine release and you're like, okay, cool, I'll do another one and get better. So you kind of get addicted. I can see why people do. The only drawback I think with doing loads of them, and I think, and again comparatively with something like, which is a bit more variance, like CrossFit, is it just gets boring. I can see why. Like, if I could see myself getting really bored of that.
Yeah, if it was like your thing, like if you kind of, if you were like the top 1% of Hyrox athletes, you know, the people who kind of go to all of them and always podium and stuff, like the training for that and the work that you have to put in, that then becomes very repetitive. Well, if you kind of if you're just like generally fit anyway and you do a few weeks beforehand, like that's enjoyable. Yeah, it's just a bit different, you know, a bit like what we did.
Yeah, because you can then again you can show you turn your hand and show up to other events and do well. That's fine, but I think again if you're always competing at the same thing and then all your training is always the same 8 movements, it's like, fuck me, you know. Yeah. I'm sick of this rower now.
It's about finding the balance, isn't it? Yeah, I guess with everything, because if you put all of your eggs in the Hyrox basket, then training's boring because you're going to spend a lot of time doing compromise running. You're going to spend a lot of time skiing. Yeah. You're going to spend a lot of time rowing
and doing wall balls.
Yeah, and doing like countless wall balls,
which basically all are not enjoyable activities.
No, and then so if you take them in isolation, they're unenjoyable. If you put them together, they're even more unenjoyable.
Yeah, exactly. Which is a Hyrox. So yeah, it's one of those things. I mean, again, like to do it once or twice in a year maybe, and peak for it and train a little bit. But I think you're right. Being generally physically fit, which is what we always push anyway. Yeah. Being kind of decent at everything, like 7 out of 10 across the board, and then you 8 weeks out go, okay, I'm going to dial in with this now, and then you can turn your hand, which is what I try and look for.
Yeah, and then so third, I've got the fact that it's a hybrid event as well, so it kind of encompasses strength and endurance as we've touched on. So it makes training for a Hyrox more interesting than just say, I don't know, going for like a marathon.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think the sleds and stuff definitely are the only thing really that is strength related.
Yeah.
Because everything else is super lightweight.
That's what people. I think that's what people. It's deceiving, isn't it? Really, 'cause it's like a hybrid event. But someone who identifies primarily as like a strength athlete, it's not strength because I'm strong, and that didn't really benefit me in any way, to be honest. And I'm not a great runner, and that showed.
Well, exactly. This is it. So we did the sort of breakdown again for our time, and 40 minutes of our time was running, and our total time was 1 hour and 5.
Yes, so we smashed the
25 minutes. Is that right? Yeah. 25 minutes of the event was the other stuff. 40 minutes of it was running, which is mad.
So we basically smashed all of the workout stations, and then lagged on the run. But the run is when you break it down. The run is where you make up the most time. 100%. That's the lowest hanging fruit. Because if you can shave like 15, 30 seconds off every kilometre run, suddenly. That's game changing.
8 times 30 seconds is 4 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is wild. So
that would have taken us below 1 hour.
Yeah. We would have had to hit probably like 4:30s or 4:25.
Yeah, so if we ran at 4:30s instead of 5,
which isn't
exactly. It's just because I didn't really do any speed work leading up to it, which again is massive fucking short-sighted.
It's 1K intervals as well. The speed stuff, obviously the base has to be there. But that's with everything. But the speed stuff is kind of important because it's that like ability for your legs to kind of regen, especially in doubles, because you get that little bit of rest. If your legs can recover and then go into a decent pace, then you're in a good place. But yeah, I mean, it is hybrid up to a point. But again, like
it's very heavily lenient on running again, isn't it?
And endurance though, like it's running, but then you got like super light wall balls, super light lunges. I mean, the farmer's walk is kind of heavy-ish, but
it's not really. Like, I mean, the lunges as well. Like, it's so light,
kilo, like, easy. But I think it is. It's more hybrid than just. This is middle ground, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you've got athletics, which is probably better.
It's the distinction I made. Like I compared it to just training for a race in terms of like a half marathon or a marathon. It's more hybrid than that. Yeah. But like it's not as balanced as some other events like Athletics, which I think probably strike the balance a bit better.
I would argue Athletics is so for a couple of reasons. I would argue Athletics is probably a better test because they rotate the workouts first of all, so you're not always doing the same thing. So yes, you're good at 8 things, but are you good at the all this other shit? which obviously exists. So athletics, it has a strength bit, an endurance bit where you test running and you test all this other stuff, and then a bit of a workouty bit, which I think overall, if you take all of those things together, the person who wins an athletics or the pair who wins an athletics probably are in better shape than maybe the people who do really well at Hyrox, because those people who do really well at Hyrox are typically really good runners and just pretty good on the ski or something. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I mean, if you want to like get an insight into kind of the type of person that wins a Hyrox, just look at the podiums.
Yeah, it's
they're racing snakes effectively, aren't they? With a bit of muscle mass.
Yeah. So you just got to take the podium people and you look at their like 5k or 10k. It's always elite. Like always kind of, you look at for like men's pro, for example. So Ollie, who podiumed yesterday, came third, I think, overall, which is mad. 61-minute pro time. His 5k is like in the 17s. Low 17s.
Well, actually, right, okay, so we'll give our mate a shout out here, Dan Noter. Quite prolific in the Hyrox space. I had a look at his splits and his breakdown from his race yesterday, where I think he broke 1 hour, didn't he? Singles?
Sure. Maybe.
I think. Oh no, he just got slightly
60,
one over.
He
got 60 minutes and like 40 seconds or something.
I think he won his age group.
Yeah, which is still mental, by the way. Unbelievable. He was averaging 3:45 Ks.
It's insane.
Apart from his final kilometre, which was 4.
Yeah, so Gaz, so our mutual rehab team basically did it as a pair with his missus, so mixed doubles. They got just over an hour. They posted their splits as well, and they literally held bang on, basically like 3:57 to 4 the entire time. I was like, that's fucking ace.
Well, we were probably the opposite. So our runs were taking us the longest. When our stations, we were smashing through them. Really, you want to reverse that.
Well, if we can keep our station time and then just smash our runs a little bit, which I think we'll do, because as soon as we get, like, if you can hold 4:30s,
you're laughing
for like a 15k just run. You can probably hold it for a Hyrox. I don't know whether that's true.
Something around there. Yeah. So the fact that it's hybrid, and then your bonus ball. The fact that you can turn it into a weekend city break now as well, because they're everywhere.
Which we did.
Do. We did Amsterdam.
Will do
Out of necessity.
Well, exactly. Not our fucking choice.
Because you can't get a ticket for any UK ones now.
Yeah, so we did Amsterdam, which was sensational, by the way. We did Amsterdam at about 7 a.m. and then on Saturday morning, and then had the whole weekend, which was sick.
Yeah, I think I would encourage you, if you're not that arsed about getting a podium finish and you're not kind of like an elite racer, I would probably encourage you to do a Hyrox outside of the UK, assuming that you live in the UK.
Yeah.
Because you can still turn up and put in a good account of yourself, but then you get the added bonus of getting a city break out of it as well.
Yeah, and try and choose somewhere that's you wanted to go anyway.
Yeah, exactly, because then it's the best of both worlds, isn't it?
Yeah, so... if you can do like the Madrid one, for example, would have been good, like this weekend, and somewhere that you'd probably would have liked to look around anyway. You do the event on the Saturday, and then the rest of the weekend is yours. You can chill. Yeah,
be organised. Book yourself in for like the first wave or whatever on the Saturday, so then you basically still have a full weekend afterwards to enjoy yourself, and then you've earned that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you've done a Hyrox.
No one can argue with that.
Exactly.
Done a Hyrox there. So we are probably looking at Valencia, are we?
Valencia at the end of the year, which we need to book really, because otherwise we'll come unstuck effectively.
Yeah, the end of the year is gonna fucking come thick and fast for us, I think, because we've got another event that we're planning, which is gonna be a bit mental.
Yeah, we've got 2 that are gonna be mental effectively. We're just gonna be racing snakes by the end of the year, I think.
I think that is Hyrox, I guess, is a racing snake event, so we should be alright. Yeah.
Like post Athex in September, we're basically just gonna have to turn the dial very much to endurance and running.
Yeah, it'd be interesting though. I think it'd be cool. It's one of those things I've never actually done. I've never really, apart from the marathon prep, actually put everything really into a proper build. So it'd be interesting to see what we can do.
I mean, it's like the 4th time we've teed ourselves up for like a proper build now, and then we always just end up cuffing it.
Yeah, we need to do it though. I've said we need to get a fucking Airbnb and just dial it in.
Yeah.
Because living at home's good, because obviously you got all your creature comforts, but at the same time you got the distractions and all the rest of it. So
yeah, we need to do like a proper training camp.
Yeah, that'd be good though.
Like an Olympian or something.
Yeah, fake Olympian.
Fake athlete.
And then go and
a walt.
And then go and rap.
A Hyrox walt.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, have you got any other points that are reasons to do one?
No, I haven't got any. I haven't got any more positives. Potential negative that has come up on my radar recently is, and I'm not sure this is 100%, so don't take my word for it, but the way that they now work the ticketing of Hyrox could potentially be a bit gatekeepy.
Could be an undoing.
And we don't like that. We don't like gatekeeping on this podcast.
No, so again, to compare, it's only a popularity thing, to be honest, but to compare it to CrossFit events, like you can pretty much get a CrossFit ticket. For a big event, you could probably get one. And typically, again, you have to be fair, you have to qualify, which is probably a good little thing they do. Some of the big CrossFit events, you have to do online qualifiers, which then just sorts the wheat from the chaff, and you get to actual live event, and it's kind of...
So you filter out the time wasters, basically.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, so that's probably a good idea. But
and anyway. That's not to say that like it shouldn't be beginner-friendly. I mean, like, you get some people who, like, really aren't physically ready for it.
No, I mean, yeah, I'm only really talking about the pro men's category, or
right,
pro,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like for the big events, because they probably get oversubscribed and get over full.
But yeah, so I'm told now, for Hyrox events, like Hyrox affiliated gyms disproportionately get like the lion's share of tickets now, which is crap if you don't train at a Hyrox affiliated gym, which most people don't.
Yeah, and they're expensive if you're not at one. You know, if you're just like us, fucking little lemon over here trying to buy a fucking ticket, it's like insane amount of money.
Yeah, a good couple of £100
yeah.
for like a doubles ticket. Yeah. And then obviously if you're doing it as a city break, you've got flights, accommodation, spends, like...
It's a lot of money,
that's
but
an expense.
It's a holiday, innit?
Yeah, and that's also why I would encourage you to only do 1 or 2 a year, max.
True, because you're going to burn a hole otherwise, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think... Yeah, and again, just spread your fucking... It depends how into your fitness you are. We're probably talking to like the top 10% here, but like, spread your efforts over a couple of different events and make sure you're not just dialing in on one specific thing. Because people like to say that Hyrox is the ultimate test of fitness, but is it?
Well, we've just kind of like debunked that, haven't we? Really, because it's not. It's running, and have you got a bit of strength?
Yeah.
Are you a good runner with a bit of strength?
Are you not weak?
Yeah, yeah.
That's it, isn't it?
Right, okay, so I think we've comprehensively covered the positives and drawbacks of Hyrox now.
Mm-hmm.
Let's give the people at home some take-home tips.
Okay.
Some solid fucking Hyrox tips. Because I imagine some people listening probably are training or have got a Hyrox lined up. Because I get quite a lot of questions about Hyrox.
Or probably at least are just interested in fitness as a whole, and probably, even if you haven't heard of it, and now I'm going to look at it and think, oh, okay, I'll fucking try and do that.
Yeah, and the good thing about Hyrox is because you know the workout, you don't actually have to do a proper Hyrox. You can just simulate one in your gym.
Yeah,
if you want to get an idea,
feasibly,
if you want to get an idea for your Hyrox time, obviously it won't be official, but you can just do one in your gym. Also
a good thing as to why it's probably not over-facing for people. Because you could just do it in your gym and then be like, oh, I can get through that. I can do it. So
yeah, well, we did a test run through in a JD gym. Yeah, we did a half Hyrox in JD gym about a week and a half out from the Amsterdam one that we did.
Which, to be fair, was about our only compromise running session, which is ill-advised at best.
Well, we'll get on to that now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like if you just crack it in your own gym, which I think is another good selling point, because if you're unsure and you want to test the waters, it's there for you.
Yeah, exactly. I think, especially if you're in like a JD, it's pretty much got everything.
We didn't have any issues, really, did we? Like,
no.
Sound. Right, okay, yeah, so our top 3 tips, when I say top 3 tips, these are my top 3 tips, and then Shep can add or subtract anything that he feels is relevant. Right, okay, so number 1 is a training tip. And this goes without saying, don't neglect running.
Yeah, I would agree.
Which is something that we definitely did.
I think... Running obviously is, like we've said, the majority of the event, and compromise running is a massive thing. You're not going to be able to do compromise running if you can't do regular running. If you can't do like a 10k unbroken, a 60-minute run, a 90-minute run without really struggling, to just try and turn the dial on, okay, I'm going to try and fucking do a K off the back of a ski or a sled or whatever, is pretty stupid. You're not going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
So build your fucking base first. Make sure that's in, because you need a base of fitness, because it is a long event.
Yeah, build your base and then turn up the dial on speed work and compromise running.
Yeah, speed work's important, I think, but compromise even more so, because it's so different. To go straight into like 1 kilometre repeats is one thing. To go from like pushing a massively heavy sled then into 1k repeats is fucking completely different.
Different kettle of fish.
It's insane. So it's so different, and especially if you're doing individual, because you have no chance to rest or get a respite. If you're doing doubles, you have a little bit of like a minute, maybe or so that you rest in between the sleds.
Yeah.
But I think we'll probably if you depending on what category you're going into, probably depends on whether you need to do more strength stuff or less. I think.
I guess. Well, I was gonna say, like, if you want an idea for how you should kind of divvy up your training, use our example of for our event. So we did like 1 hour 5 or whatever doubles. Like 45 minutes of that was running.
Yeah.
So you want it. So if you're looking at your training program and at least half of it isn't running, then I'd probably get a different training program.
Yeah, half of it should be kind of running or at least cardio based. Trying to, even if it's like on the bike or whatever, to try and build a little bit of a base. But I think those sessions where you're going from one implement into running, then from one into running is super important.
You want to be doing at least. Well, I know we had a disagreement about this yesterday because I don't agree with the intensity prescribed by the example that you gave. But I think you do want to be doing kind of not a full simulation, but you want to be doing a decent compromise running session at least once a week in your training.
Yeah, you've got to be pushing the limits a little bit. Like you haven't, because in a race you're going to be at 80-90% of your max heart rate. So you have to have exposure to that. You have to have felt what it's like, even if it's not for like a physiological benefit, which it is, but even like more so, probably for like a psychological, because you're like, if that's the first time in the training block on race day that you hit that fucking 90% threshold, you're like, fuck, you'll just panic.
Yeah.
And you won't be able to hold it.
Yeah.
If you in the training try and simulate that and go, okay, I know how this feels, I know how long I can hold at this felt exhaustion level, then you're alright, you can kind of settle in.
Yeah. And it's like everything, build yourself up to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't write yourself off in week 1. You want to be building up to like a full run through at the end of your training block.
A progressive program like anything else. But I think also, like, I add to this, like, know your pace as well. Like, everyone's going to be different with that, but just running 8k and going, okay, a hell 5 minute k is sweet.
Yeah,
that's not okay. Like, you need to be able to know what pace can you hold on the like on a 1k or thereabouts distance after you've absolutely smashed something else, after your heart rate's already 150 before you started.
Yeah.
So I think you need to know what pace you can feasibly hold across the board through training as well. You can't just guess this.
Well, that's the things, like what's measured can be improved, isn't it? Always test before you go into any training block, because otherwise you don't know where you stand.
Yeah, and then we didn't do this as well, but I mean...
Learn from our mistakes. Yeah. That's the message of this podcast.
Yeah, so once you've got your pace in mind, you should stick to that and hang your hat on it and be like, okay, we're going to hold this from the get-go, from kilometre 1, we're going to hold 5 minutes, then 5 minutes, and 5, rather than holding 4 and then 6s.
Yeah, and if you don't know where to start with programming or hybrid training, then we both have hybrid programs.
We do indeed. So link through our mutual bios.
Yeah, links in our mutual bios. Go with your favourite. Yeah, okay, so that was a training tip. In terms of the actual race, there's two really, but they're kind of interlinked. The first one is don't come out too hot, especially and this goes for any race or event you do. Yeah. If it's the first one you do, the chances are the adrenaline's going to spike initially, and it can easily get the better of you.
Yeah, it did.
It did, and it did with us, because he's a hat.
Yeah, I'm extremely competitive, you see. And around me were all these people. I thought I could beat all these fuckers.
And that's all well and good for the first K.
Yeah, we did the first K in about 3 minutes.
But you've then got to do 7 more of them.
Yeah.
And I was fucked.
I wrote Eddie off on the first K, basically.
And this is particularly the case for the fucking erg machines.
Oh, yeah, for the ski especially.
Which are within, like, the first 3 stations.
No, the ski's first station, then the rows 4. I think.
Right, okay, yeah. So in the first half of the race, you've got both of the erg machines, which again are just cardio.
Yeah, so
you're going from cardio to cardio. So don't write yourself off, because as soon as you finish said ski or row, you're then doing more cardio immediately.
Yeah, so especially if you're doing singles, because again you get no rest. You want your heart rate to be stable throughout, really.
Yeah, you want to be holding consistent pace. And again, this is why it's important to know your pace.
Yeah.
Because you can hang your hat on that then. Because like when you got the photographer in your grill and you're digging out with your fizz face and you got people cheering you on and stuff, it's quite easy for it to get the better of you. But like if you're staring at the monitor and you know you're holding your pace, then you're laughing.
Yeah, exactly. So again, with training, like you should know if you're dying, you can hold a K at this pace, and if that's the case, then you know, all right, we're halfway through the race when you adrenaline's up, heart rate's up, whatever. You know you can hold a row at 155 then and be comfortable. Then that's fine. You can hang your hat on that and be like, right, that's my like left of arc. That's my lowest pace I'm gonna hold. And you sit at that for a bit, and then if you feel good, you can speed up.
Yeah.
And again, with pairs, it's a little easier because you can just communicate and break it up if you need to, or do like 20 strokes each or whatever.
That's what I mean. But if you just apply like the excitable dog method,
yeah,
where you're like, oh, look at all this, look at all these people, like, and you just send it,
yeah,
then you're gonna be fucked, aren't
well, you? Yeah, certainly by the time you get to the sleds, because the sleds as well are back to back, and they're the second and third station, which is fucking just. And they are heavy, man.
They're lung heavy, and most people don't have the requisite strength to just arm it, you know, into just kind of like upper body. So like, if you're clever and you are strong enough, and this applies with very few people, you can just basically
the Ollie March-ons of the world.
You can just pull it. So like for the sled pull, you can just do all arms, and
which is a real benefit.
Which is a real benefit because most of the stations don't require.
Or just legs.
Are just legs. So if for an entire station you can just rest your legs, that's a massive bonus. That's like 4 minutes of rest.
Yeah, so I think sled pull definitely, but the thing is, the sled weights they give you on the website are super fucking deceiving. We put probably like 120% of the sled weight on the training sleds in JD Gym. Mate, they were flying. They were like, oh, this is fucking sweet, mate. And then we got to the thing, the turf is like nothing else. It's like glue on that turf.
This needs to be covered. The Hyrox sleds are a myth.
Mate, it's bizarre.
They're not the weight that they say they are.
Because a 200 kilo sled isn't that bad.
No.
But like, you see, mate, you'll see it if you follow anyone who's done Hyrox this weekend. Bro, everyone struggles on the sleds. I don't know what it is.
Mate, everyone blows on the sleds. I swear they put fucking sandpaper on the bottom of them.
Yeah, mate.
They don't move.
You could be as strong as anything, and you're still going to fucking hang out, which is so mental. This is also why strength is a massive thing. Because...
But like strength work in relation to sleds.
Well, single leg.
Yeah.
If you can
unilateral strength,
heavy, and you can do whatever, then you're probably in a good place. And to be fair, that's the majority of what our training looked like, isn't it? Really.
Mate, you remember when we were in the warm-up zone for Amsterdam?
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, we'll have a little fucking,
have a little go at this.
We'll have a little dabble on the sleds. Yeah. They weren't fucking moving.
And I was
like, mate, this is going to be a very long hour.
Also with the pull, like you mentioned, with the arm over arm, that's all well and good with a decent rope. Those ropes, bro, have got fucking oil on them. Yeah. They're like, geez, like you can't use chalk, so you can't really grip it, and then that's why I think people grab onto it and lean back and do that thing.
Yeah, because again, massive oversight from us. We didn't practice our sled like pull technique or push technique until the actual warm up zone before the event.
This is why we need to go forward at least a couple of times before, because their sleds actually don't move either.
Yeah.
So will they be good?
That's why they don't struggle, because there's like expectation management, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. They're like, oh, okay, this feels like home.
But yeah, I remember us trying to do the overarm technique on the sled pull
they should be sound.
in the warm-up zone. I went to pull it, the sled didn't move, and I just pulled myself towards the sled, and I was like, right, well, that's a non-starter, isn't it?
I went to pull it, and the rope just slipped through my hand, and I had it cut in my hand. I was like, great,
that's good.
Brilliant. Before we'd even started. And so we actually did power through the sleds pretty well, I think. We did... Did we do a full length each? Just it? That was it?
I think so, and then we cracked it. Well, I didn't realise it was only basically like one full length each, because I was confused. I was like, oh, brilliant, we've got to run again now.
Yeah. You were like, oh, sound sleds. And then I think you go through, is it the row next? I think it is. The row and then the burpees, I
think so.
Burpees, I feel like, well, for me, on pairs were easy.
Yeah, they're sound.
We did 5 each.
We're pretty strong in like upper body chest, though, aren't we?
Yeah, I think burpees are a decent one.
Because if you're pretty strong in the chest pec region, you can basically just bounce through burpees.
Yeah, especially if you get in rest. You're just going to be able to go. Well,
if you do 5 on, 5 off, you're laughing really, because they're burpee broad jumps, aren't they?
Yeah, we overtook a lot of people on that.
Yeah,
actually. I think we probably did. I think we did. It gives you like you split for each thing and then the position. I think we did quite well on that burpee thing. It'd be like top 20 or top.
Yeah, 20. And again, use your common sense. Like, don't dig out on the actual kind of like the press movement of the burpee. Dig out on the jump, because that's where you make the most. That's where you make the ground.
So save your energy. Like I was peeling myself off the floor.
Yeah.
Then stepping one foot in, stepping my other foot in, then jumping as far as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it. That's one of them. I've reportedly heard, haven't done an individual one, but I think on an individual again, because you don't get any rest and it's cardio.
Stinking.
You go from that to the run. That's fucking horrific.
And it's far as well. You know how we said like the sled.
80 metres, isn't it?
You know how we said the sled doesn't feel like it's the requisite distance, like the burpees do.
Yeah.
on your own, that would feel like it goes on forever.
Yeah. So I think it helped actually in Amsterdam where it was just one straight shout.
Yeah, because
it wasn't like there and back.
You could quite literally
just see the finish.
You could quite literally see the finish.
I think that was good. I'm gonna try. My word here. I'm gonna try and do a individual pro this year.
Fuck that. I can't think of anything worse. I'll do a doubles again with you, which we'll do.
Are we gonna do a doubles pro or a double individual?
No, we'll do a doubles individuals because then we can beat our time from last time.
Okay.
So I want to beat our time and then we can think about doing a pro.
Okay.
I'm determined to get a sub 1 hour.
Open. Yeah, that should be
and then you can do I feel like if you can get sub... This is my logic, right? So if you can get a sub 1 hour open, then you've earned the right to do a pro.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean, yeah. I think the limiting factor, though, is just fucking running, though, with that. Like, because you can only go so quick. But, mate, on the wall balls, we couldn't have gone any quicker.
But we know, exactly where we can make up time. Like, we know if we square our running away, then we will get sub 1 hour. Like, we've done the maths. We just ran too slowly. We knew that at the time when we were doing it. Like, we're just running too slowly here.
Yeah, it's true. But I just want to see how I get on at a pro one. Because I'll train for it, I think. I just need to get one in the diary to
do it.
Have a little thing.
Right, and my final tip, and this is specifically for doubles, is that the stronger runner should always start and finish a station.
Yeah, definitely.
That goes without saying.
So
you want the weaker runner
has rest.
Yeah, because then that levels the playing field.
Yeah, definitely. So you come in, and if you're a stronger runner, because you're, again, fatigued at that point, you straight into the station. The weaker runner can then rest a little bit. Maybe they get like a minute or whatever after the run, which is great. Then they get on, they can smash the station for however long, then you finish it. If you're the stronger one. But yeah, I think that's a good advice. And that's just strategy. There's a lot of strategy, to be honest. I mean, I think because you can swap in on the sleds wherever as well, can't you? So if your partner's a little bit weaker and you're super strong on the sled, then fucking let them do maybe like a couple of feet and then you just finish it.
Yeah.
So
this is the other thing with Hyrox as well. So they like to preach really stringent rules in terms of like adjudicating and like where you can be in relation to your partner when they're doing their work and stuff. Like you're not supposed to stand in front of them and stuff. Right, that is bollocks. They don't give a shit.
No, it's bullshit.
So like, don't get stressed
you were
out.
flapping about that, and I was like, nah.
Don't get stressed out before the race about like trying to ingrain like, all right, so when my partner's on the ski, I've got to be stood behind. Right, they don't give a shit. Basically, as long as you do the work, it's fair game.
I think it is. I mean, we should say and caveat this: we've only done one, and it might have just been lax judging it.
This was Amsterdam,
and it was.
So
Amsterdam.
I don't want to.
Might have been high.
I don't want to veer into kind of like racial stereotypes here, but the Dutch are quite relaxed people.
Well, that's the thing. So it could have been that. I think probably if you did London, it would probably be different.
The only one where I know that they tend to be a bit stricter, and I think it's because it's the final station and people try and maybe cut corners, is the wall balls. Yeah. But as we know, and I don't want to throw people under the bus here, I know people that have done all of their wall ball reps and they haven't even broke parallel on their squat. And you know who you are.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
And there's video evidence of it.
The thing is, our geezer, our judge, couldn't even count. Do you remember?
Yeah.
I was doing it.
Right, yeah, spin.
What did we do? Like 35 each or something? Or
no, 50 so you
each?
went straight in and did like 60 or something, didn't you, mentor?
Oh, yeah,
because they were really light. So you were like, I just want this over with.
Yeah.
You did 60. I turned to our fella and go like, right, so we've got 40 left. And he was like,
he was like, I don't know. I was like, you've got a clicker there.
Your one job, mate, is you've even got a fucking tool to help you count.
And he was like, and he wasn't communicating.
Yeah,
so I don't know where I'm at, mate.
So then
you had to do it for me, didn't you?
Yeah, so I think did you do 60 and then I just did 40 and then we were done?
Yeah.
So then, so he was like, I don't know. So then I just did 40 and then we went, right, we're done, mate. And he was like, yeah, sound.
We could have done 20.
You could have just done 40 and I could have done 40.
Yeah,
he wouldn't have known.
He wouldn't have a clue.
We would have shaved about a minute off our time.
Yeah. The wall balls, if you're relatively strong and you're doing doubles, open is fucking a joke.
Actually, that's another tip. Actually, if you're doing the open doubles and you're relatively strong, as in like your strength kind of outweighs your ability to run, what I would suggest doing is just sending the final run and leaving nothing in the tank, because you can just persevere through the wall balls.
You can just hold on because it's the last thing and it's light as fuck.
Because of what is it, 4 kg?
6.
6, mate. That's basically just a bodyweight squat.
Yeah, I would say though, actually, that extra 3 kilos, which is wild, 3 kilos makes such a fucking difference though.
For the pro?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do the pro, I'll struggle with that. I think if I
on your own as well.
Well, it's the end. You've done an hour and whatever of fucking running and shit and other shit. I'll probably have to do like 10-10s or something.
Yeah,
long that, man.
100%. But yeah, just to stress, if you're doing doubles open and you're relatively strong, don't really leave anything in your tank for the wall balls.
No, you don't need to.
Because you can basically do them unbroken.
And
effectively.
Equally, another quick win is probably the farmer's walk. If you can in training make sure you can do the 200 metres unbroken.
Which again is pretty low hanging fruit. Like as long as your grip strength's pretty there, there's chalk for the there's chalk for the kettlebells as well. So it's not like your grip strength doesn't even have to be that squared away.
Was it 32 we had?
Yeah, 232, which is like
it's quite heavy that actually.
It's quite heavy, but that's normally the heaviest It's normally the heaviest kettlebell pairing you'd get in a commercial gym. So again, it's there for you to practice.
Yeah, and the lunges are fucking a joke, mate. Like 20 kilo for
you'll be doing them unbroken if you do like fucking 20 foot each on and off.
Oh yeah, well yeah. Open doubles is not too bad. It's like if you can run, it's pretty.
It's
good.
The running.
Yeah.
But we said it once. I'll say it again. If you take one thing away from this podcast, if you're doing open doubles, square you're running away.
Yeah.
Because if you've got any kind of like baseline level of strength, you will smash it if you can run.
100%. So it's a really good event. I think I really enjoyed it, and I am looking forward to getting back doing another one. It's just a shame that they're all fucking sold out. So
yeah, that's so jarring.
We'll have to do Valencia.
We get that book later actually, because then it's in the diary then,
yeah,
and we can hang our hat on it, as we've liked to say in this podcast.
Yeah, we've said that a lot.
It's good, mate. It's very apt though, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to doing another one. I think you're probably right in terms of doing an open one is maybe a better idea.
I like that then, because then there's a clear journey for us.
Yeah.
So you earn the right to do the pro, and then you go into that, as opposed to just be like, right, I want to fucking.
Yeah. Were you sore? Do you remember last time?
Well, we saw afterwards. I don't think so. No.
Might look if I can do the pro on the Sunday.
Mate, you're not doing the pro before we do the doubles, because I'm not having my time compromised by your ego.
I would be sore after the pro.
Yeah,
that's the point.
Try and do a different one, I reckon. I'd try and do, because you'd have to dig out for the individual. Try and get a ticket off someone that we know for a UK one.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, that's a good shout. I feel alright. Like I feel pretty fit at the moment. I'm just not. I haven't fucking hit my snatch goal yet, so I'm fucking threaded.
Just hanging around like a bad smell in it.
It's so annoying though, because the gym I'm at now,
he's in a cave.
Bro, there's no way. Like, there's no way you could snatch 100 kilos.
And even if you could, right, you wouldn't want to.
You wouldn't be able to see it.
Because you wouldn't be able to see it. Yeah. You're like, my snatch PR. I can't see this, man.
Yeah.
You're in a cave.
Yeah, the one I did back in like this week could have been 100 kilo. No one would have fucking known.
Yeah.
So that's a bit annoying. But yeah, so I'm trying to get strong at the moment, which doesn't really bode well for Hyrox, because you're supposed to be good at running. So I am doing 2 runs a week to just keep it in there. You've got to keep that iron in the fire, haven't you?
Yeah. But have you got anything else to add about Hyrox? I think we've done a pretty good
breakdown
of that.
Again,
really.
I would say, if you're in any way, say if you, for example, like training for the military or whatever, I think it's a fantastic way to stay engaged in training, because it's something tangible you can look for. So I was saying this actually to someone the other day. You know the phys that they do at Forders, which is basically Hyrox. All those movements, if I'd have been able to do something that was training me towards that sort of stuff for my PRMC, so CPC now for the Marines, that's awesome. Like, you do so many walking lunges, your legs are already always fucking fried, which is, it's all legs, right?
Yeah.
You have to obviously be good at running. Again, I have to be good at running. So the compromise running stuff is good. I actually felt really foul of not being able to do compromise running when I was at PRMC. So I think it's a really, really good thing for military prep if you're looking for something to stay engaged with.
Yeah, 100%. Hyrox transfers over a lot to military prep.
Yeah,
I think that's like, it's not really controversial opinion, that, like.
No, so it's running and legs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get yourself on it.
Your lower body needs to be fucking strong for both.
If you're training for the RAF Reg. Get yourself to a Hyrox.
Don't worry about training for that.
Right, okay, so that's Hyrox. Let's now move on to our usual segments to round off the pod.
Yes.
We've got underrated, overrated.
Underrated, overrated.
It's either underrated...
You've charmed me.
...or it's overrated.
Well, that was fucking dreadful.
I did have one. But you on for...
I've got one, yeah. It's very timely, this.
Okay.
My underrated, overrated is Manchester.
Okay.
The city.
Nice. Yeah. Well, I'm assuming you think it's underrated, right?
In comparison to London, I think it's massively underrated because I actually think pound for pound, to quote a phrase one of our good friends likes to use, Manchester is better than London.
Yeah, I would agree.
Because on a whole, it's got all the things that London has to offer, but it's smaller, so it's easier to get around, and it's cheaper.
Okay. Yeah. It is so much cheaper. It's
so much cheaper
for a
mate.
city centre. It's
That's
fucking mad.
But and as I said, it's a city centre that basically has everything that London has to offer. But you can walk around it. You can walk from one side of Manchester city centre to the other in about 20 minutes.
True, it's
London
quite small,
takes you an hour to get from one side to the other.
On the fucking tube.
And everyone's ambiently threaders,
Well,
as we learned.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think it's underrated from a perspective of most people would consider London to be the city. Manchester's got everything you want, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, what hasn't it got that you'd want? I mean, it's obviously not got all of the historic landmarks, but that's just for fucking tourists anyway, do you know what I mean?
We saw all them in the marathon anyways.
Yeah, we saw it. Yeah, if you want to see all the London landmarks and just do them in one fell swoop,
Yeah.
just do the London Marathon. Do the London Marathon.
It's all cleared for you then.
Yeah, it's all clear. They've literally closed the roads for you.
It's great. Yeah, so all Manchester Marathon's coming up, innit? That'd be good to do.
That would be good to do, but I am worried that because Manchester's quite small, you would end up running through places like Moss Side.
Ooh.
And you don't really... there's not a lot to see. No offence to the people of Moss Side, but there's not a lot there to see.
No, yeah, I don't know where the route takes you, but if it does take you down those sort of ends, then it's probably not ideal. Also, it's not one of the big six, so
Exactly.
that's useless. Isn't it?
Got to choose your battles.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think I'd agree. I think it's underrated.
Well, I don't think there's a lot else to say. I mean, you can't argue. Like
the north is just it should just really do the north versus the south. Really, it's kind of
the north is just better than the south.
Yeah.
It is. The people are better. It's easier to navigate. People are better. People are
the
going.
landscape's certainly better.
Right, there's nothing that triggers me more as like a proud northerner. Right, southerners that go, I don't really go to the north, but by the north I mean anything north of Watford.
Yeah, well, that's true. The only thing is the difference. I think in landscape is just incomparable, isn't it? They got the moors up here and like the Lakes District and obviously into Scotland and stuff, and into North Wales. Down south is basically feck all. Yeah. Apart from a few nice beaches.
And in Devon and Cornwall, granted, on average across the year, it is slightly warmer, so you do get slightly better weather.
I think it's slightly.
But in terms of like beaches and stuff, I would argue there are far better beaches in like the Highlands of Scotland than there are in Devon and Cornwall. And the best thing is no feckers on them because no one lives there.
It's always raining.
Yeah, but go in the summer.
Yeah, true. I know. I think there is a difference in weather, in climate between Scotland and Cornwall because they're completely different ends.
But you are right in terms of landscape. Like the north just wins hands down. Like, got the lakes, you got the peaks.
Somewhere else, yeah. So my underrated, overrated is trail running.
Ooh, right. Can we caveat
it?
Like put it into context. What
do you mean?
So just on its own, or like in relation to normal running, or
or just in general, in terms of like people generally don't dabble because it's less accessible
and it's fucking hard.
And it's hard, but I would argue from like a aerobic and interest perspective. So obviously, running generally gets fucking boring, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Just doing road running, just running down canals gets a bit boring. So making it a little bit more engaging by having to navigate different terrain, and obviously generally trails lead themselves to or lend themselves to being in better surroundings effectively, so you get better views, and from a physiological perspective your proprioception, your muscle activation is going to be higher. I did a trail run the other day and I'd run a fair bit. My fucking calves, mate, have been in absolute clip from here on in, from like the last couple of days, because they just don't get that level of activation on a normal road run. And I think if you only do road running and expect to be decent when you go trail running, it's going to be a bit of a shock, and especially like terrain and stuff like up and down.
Yeah, that's the other thing that I think a lot of people overlook when they just plonk themselves on like a treadmill or a canal or a flat road. It's the proprioception and like that the activation of kind of like
tiny muscles
that are crucial in stabilising yourself when running, but often don't get activated when you're just on, say, a treadmill.
Yeah, certainly a treadmill least of all.
Yeah.
A track then probably next.
And
then
they're
a fucking canal.
And they're the muscles that go first injury-wise that then destabilise your progression.
Yeah, well, they destabilise the joint, and then you obviously get in a normal injury that you would probably consider, just overused it. Well, you probably haven't. You probably actually underutilised certain muscles, certain things.
But that's why trail runners have got ankles made of stainless steel, and they're sending like 4-minute Ks down like a sheer vertical slope.
Yeah, we were talking about this in terms of fell running. Like, I've never really done fell running because it's a bit mental. But like, it's the idea of basically running up and down mountains in the fucking lakes. And the people who do that, mate, have literally stone ankles.
Yeah,
they're made of granite, mate.
And you wouldn't. And it's no surprise why, is it?
Yeah, exactly. And so I think it is a little bit underrated. I just think accessibility maybe is the reason people don't do it. Maybe a bit of like, it's just a bit harder. So people are like, fucking, well, I'm going to do it. Also, this is the downfall of Strava. Because if you're bothered about what your Strava says, then doing a trail run doesn't really add up.
You can't.
You're like, oh, fucking hell, I did 6-minute Ks for 10K. Well, I did 6-minute Ks, but it was over this terrain and this fucking elevation. It doesn't really factor in on Strava. So if you're worried about that, typically you'll do the flattest route possible with the most downward elevation, which doesn't get you the training benefit.
Yeah, Strava has born an entire generation of running stat padders, hasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Which can be detrimental to your actual training benefit.
Exactly. Yeah, just
ironically,
mate, if you're that insecure about like logging a subpar run, just don't log your trail run.
Yeah,
but like that's not an excuse to neglect it. Like if you have access to that kind of terrain, and I appreciate like a massive kind of limiting factor to trail running is geography.
Yeah.
Like if you don't have access, have access to hills, you shouldn't expect to fucking do a 4-hour round trip every Sunday to get like a 6K trail running. You know what I mean? Like, but if you can, why wouldn't you do it? Because we've just listed all the benefits of it.
Well, yeah, exactly. Certainly once a week, like just go do one, and it's like I said at the start, but I think one of the main benefits outside of anything physical is just the fact that it almost always lends itself to being more scenic, which is just more interesting.
So underrated trail running. Get on it if you don't know already.
There you go. Reason to be cheerful.
Reasons to be cheerful.
Yes, right, this is a good one, and it's topical, following on from our conversation about the NBA and how much we very much advocate basketball now. So at the weekend, LeBron James surpassed 40,000 career points.
That's bizarre.
In the NBA, which is mental. Like, he's the first person to ever do it.
Still going in.
He's the oldest active player in the NBA now.
How old is he?
39. Approaching 40. Do you think he's still like not at the top of his game, but like he's performing week in, week out at the top level of his sport at 39?
For a sport that really relies on explosivity as well, being that old is mental.
It's class, mate. It's like Pepe. Remember the Portugal and former Real Madrid defender? Yeah. He's still playing for Porto now, and they beat Arsenal 1-0 the other week. Yeah. And he's still starting every game for them.
Again, he's 40. I would argue, though, basketball is more impressive because being able to jump that high surely goes with age. Just shows how well he's looked after himself and how much he still probably trains it.
Yeah.
Because the older you get, your explosivity just goes through the fucking floor.
40,000 points is a lot.
Yeah,
that's apparently this is like 21st season in the NBA.
That's ridiculous.
21, like the 21 seasons at the top of your game, basically. Imagine when someone doing 20 years in the Prem. That's like James Milner, isn't it, or Gareth Barry?
But they're not like world class.
No, exactly. They weren't the GOATs. You know what I mean? They were very good and they were consistent, but like...
Yeah, that's true, actually. Typically, the GOATs don't really last that long. Like, the longevity there is mental.
But yeah, so apparently his career average is 27.1 points per game.
That's bizarre.
To do that consistently, like, over 21 years.
27 points. Bear in mind, probably in an average NBA games, mate, like 100 points, maybe?
80 to 100. So he's
he's accounting
scored
for
a quarter
over
of his,
a quarter
of his team's points.
every game. That's mental, mate. Let's take him out of the equation. His team are completely fucked.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
like that's what I mean. Like if you do this, if you crunch the numbers on, and actually, like I'll plug Chris Williamson's podcast that he did with a guy. I forgot what his name is, but he was a former data scientist at Google who basically crunched the numbers on the NBA and worked out kind of like the percentage of people who are over 7 foot born in America that end up being in the NBA. All those kind of like intriguing questions around the NBA, like what influences how you're going to be a good NBA player, like who's the real go, all that. They cover it, listen to it. But like if you crunch the numbers on like LeBron James, it's mental, mate.
Yeah, I mean that is wild. That fucking 27 points a game is insane.
Yeah.
It's insane.
So all these people, right, who are gobbing off because they're in their early 20s, they think they're over the hill. Fucking grow up.
Yeah, you're not over the hill. You just fucking rapped.
Yeah, you've just rapped,
Right.
and you're telling yourself that you've rapped, so you will.
Yeah,
It's
if
that
you're
mind
26 and you think you're again like over the hill or past it,
Yeah.
you're insane.
It's that mind-body connection. If you tell your body that it's ruined, it's going to fucking rap, innit?
Yeah, it's just mental. I think
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Well,
If
it's
you
just-
tell yourself you're a loser,
it's a function of that. You don't use it, you lose it.
yeah, if you got
Isn't
if you got a brokey mindset and you don't manifest that you want to be a billionaire, you're going to be poor.
Yeah, the Brewer Brothers don't endorse.
Yeah, that was a satirical take on an individual that we do know.
Yeah, it has actually been on the podcast.
Yeah,
That narrows it down. doesn't it?
yeah, that narrows it down. Guess who?
Yeah. Anyway, I think that's
That is the end of the Hyrox
wrap, isn't it?
episode.
That was a job well done. So I think take home points. Sign yourself up for Hyrox. There you go.
Sign yourself up for a Hyrox, and if you're in your early 20s, there's still plenty of time to not rap. So don't use that as an excuse.
Or your late 20s.
Or you're 30s. Basically, if you're younger than LeBron James and you're not performing at his level, you've got no excuse.
No excuse at all. Genetics don't come into it.
They
at
don't
all.
come into it. It's about mindset and not wanting to be a brokey.
Yeah. You should choose to be 7 foot.
Yeah,
Matt?
thread is about that because I manifest it every day and I'm still not 7 foot.
You'll get there if you do it hard.
Yeah, I
Manifest it hard.
I'll work on
More
that.
twice a day.
That and my running. I'm gonna manifest.
Yeah. Be a
Right.
world-class NBA Hyrox athlete. Right, okay. Job done. See you next time, peeps.